Hi, I'm Wayne Van Zwald, and I'm here to show you a rifle. In fact, three of them. I think I'll start with my favorite, because it's old, almost as old as I am, and I've taken it hunting in really beautiful places. This Model 70 is about as old as I am. The Model 70 was Winchester's second successful bolt rifle. They didn't have a successful bolt-action rifle until 1925, 100 years ago, when they introduced the Model 54. The Model 54 incorporated some features of the Springfield and the Mauser and even the Newton rifle. And it was a very good hunting rifle. But the Depression didn't treat Winchester kindly. In fact, Winchester actually went bankrupt in 1929. In 1931, Western Cartridge Company bought Winchester, but the production of the Model 54 continued because Frank Olin and his son John really liked the 54. And in 1937, a series of improvements to the Model 54 came to life in a brand new rifle called the Model 70. And this is a fairly early gun, made around 1950, and it's a well-used rifle. I've taken it on several mountain hunts, and it's killed some deer. I really like it. It's a 270, not fancy. It's got some scarring, but it is a fine rifle, and I like it, in fact, in part because it incorporates all the classic features of a early 20th century hunting rifle. One of them is the Mauser type extractor, or non-rotating extractor. And you can see as I open the bolt, it doesn't rotate with the bolt. It slides along the race like that. But this extractor allows for controlled round feed. When a cartridge rises up out of the magazine on this rifle, as on a 98 Mauser, the case rim comes up under the extractor lip. And as soon as it is engaged by the extractor, it stays controlled by the extractor all the way into the chamber and then back out again. Paul Mauser engineered this in his rifles beginning in 1892 because they were battle rifles. And in the press of battle, some soldiers would short stroke the bolt. In other words, just get nervous and run the bolt. And it was easy to jam cartridges two at a time atop the magazine and in the chamber if you didn't control that case. So with controlled round feed, there's never two cartridges in the receiver or trying to get themselves in the barrel at the same time. And this is important for a hunting rifle used for dangerous game as well. It's really a strong extractor, has lots of tugging power in case you hand load and you have a hot round in there and it sticks the case in the chamber. So that's one feature I like about it. I like the handwork on the rifle, and it's just it feels good. It comes to shoulder nicely. And this is an old scope, dates to about the same time, old mounts. But I'd like to show you a couple new rifles. As good as the Model 70 was, it was expensive to produce. The receiver was cut from a huge block of steel by old machining methods. The stocks were hand-bedded and hand-checkered, and the rising cost of labor and materials got to Winchester's accountants, and they said, look, we have to make this rifle more profitable for Winchester. So in 1963, they rolled out 50 changes to the rifle. Now, some of them were very minor or invisible to the casual observer, but some were not. The new stock was not in keeping with tradition, and the main thing that stuck out to a lot of Model 70 aficionados was it didn't have the Mauser type extractor. Instead of that long non-rotating spring, it had a puny bolt face clip, and it didn't have control round feed. So there weren't very many what should we say, good reviews for the post-64 Model 70. Pre-64 Model 70s really increased in value after that, and you know, for years Winchester labored under this cloud, the 1964 change. Eventually, say 2 decades later, in the 1980s, Winchester improved the Model 70 until they eventually reintroduced the Mauser extractor. that with redesigned stocks really helped the rifle at market. As good as the Winchester Model 70 was after the early 1980s, there was still strong demand for pre-64 Model 70s. And a barrel maker in Kalispell, Montana, named Brian Sipe, decided, hey, there's a market here for a rifle just like the Model 70, but more in keeping with the old style. So he borrowed from Ruger a manufacturing process that enabled him to investment cast the receivers instead of machining them from a solid heavy block of steel. And these receivers are strong and the finishing was smooth, and he used CNC machining for some of the parts that were initially profiled by hand. So he reduced the cost of the rifle considerably while maintaining the quality and even giving the steel better finish. And so he introduced this as the Model 1999 rifle and the Montana brand. So for 2 decades the rifle trundled on. It sold well, but in 2020 the company decided, we're just going to call it quits. We're not making enough rifles to meet demand. We have too many models. Our profit margins are too slim. For whatever reason, it folded in 2020, and with it, the investment cast Model 70 died. So 2 years later, 2022, a couple of brothers from an engineering firm, Grace Engineering, in Memphis, Michigan, decided, we'd like to take up where Brian Sipe left off. We think that maybe that was a premature move to just discontinue that rifle. They went to Montana, picked up the tooling and the plans, took them back to Michigan, re-engineered the rifle with some minor modifications, and reintroduced in 2022 as the 2022 rifle. And this is one of the examples of this rifle. It's in 6.5 PRC. It's a good representative version of a modern Model 70. It has the controlled round feed, non-rotating extractor. It's got a beautifully designed walnut stock, very slim and slender in the grip, unlike many rifles now built for long-range shooting, which have thick vertical grips that really don't handle well in the woods if you want to shoot fast like this. And so it has some great features, including an integral Picatinny rail, very popular for mounting scopes these days. The barrel and the receiver are both 416 stainless steel. It's a button-rifled barrel, hand-lapped for a smooth finish, 1 minute of angle, 1 inch at 100 yard guarantee, and it has the same floor plate arrangement that the 1999 Montana had, same Model 70 style trigger, which is a very excellent hunting trigger in my view. Machine checkered panels here, but they're very clean and actually better checkering than you'll find on some late pre-64 Model 70s. Recoil pad is a good idea. Pronounced cheek piece is a good idea for scope shooting. This rifle has a lot of thoughtful innovations. One of them that I hadn't thought of was this rail underneath the forestock. Those are M-lock slots for attachments that are popular these days but were unheard of before 1964. But it still retains the standard swivel stud, so you hang a sling on it. This is my favorite Brownell's Latigo sling. I use that for a lot of my shooting. Grace Engineering in Memphis, Michigan really had a winner with their 2022 model bolt rifle. Essentially a modern rendition of the pre-64 Model 70. But the 5 chamberings that they had were all essentially for deer rifles or, prairie rifles. What they needed in the line, according to some folks, was a dangerous game rifle. And in late 2024, they came up with the Tsavo rifle, so named for the Tsavo man-eaters, the lions, 2 lions that terrorized rail gangs during the construction of the Uganda Railway at the River Tsavo. It was a river crossing. And there was even a movie about that. But Tsavo, T-S-A-V-O. The name of this rifle, it's a .375, a classic African chambering for dangerous game. There are some differences between this and the standard junction rifle, which I just showed you, also from Montana Arms in Michigan. But this Tsavo rifle has a few features distinguishing it from its stablemate. One is a bigger bolt handle, which I really like. I have big hands, and if you're after dangerous game, you want something that's easy to grab. This bolt handle is really easy to grab. The Model 2022 rifle has what Montana Rifles calls adaptive control round feed. In other words, you don't have to push the cartridge into the magazine to ensure smooth feeding. You can just drop it on top of the follower, close the bolt, and it's there. And on this rifle, because it's used for dangerous game, or could be, there are iron sights, open sights, that work really well with the stock that they engineered for it. It's a high comb stock, very comfortable with the scope, but also for iron sight shooting. Instead of an integral Picatinny rail, which they had on their other rifle, this has standard mounts that can be completely removed for use with iron sights. Everything else is pretty much the same except the front swivel stud. It's up here on the barrel. Typically you'll see that front swivel stud here at the near the end of the forend. But when you're using a hard kicking rifle, sometimes that can scar your hand. So a lot of dangerous game rifles in powerful chamberings will install that swivel up here. It's a very, well, it's a classic look, but it's also very practical. And like the other Montana rifle I showed you, this has a very slender grip, long grip, open grip that I really like. With my hands, I would assume everybody would like it. It brings the rifle up quickly, and it's very nimble. It's a very agile feel to the rifle. Same 3-position Model 70 style safety as the other. Everything is otherwise very much the same. It does have recoil lugs here to strengthen the web fore and aft of the magazine cutaway. Same bottom metal, same trigger as the Model 70, which of course is one of the best hunting triggers ever devised. I really like this .375. I get 1 1/4 inch accuracy at 100 yards, which is far better than I need for hunting, and really well balanced, not heavy, not bulky, again nimble. A really beautiful rifle, a great addition to the 2022 line from Memphis, Michigan, called still the Montana Rifle Company. In 1937, Winchester had a great rifle in the Model 70, and it remained great until 1963-64 when accountants changed it. Well, that opened the door for new rifles built with modern machining methods and equipment to actually make the Model 70 again and make it even better, the pre-64 Model 70. Now, that began in 1999 in Montana. It is now carried on in the Model 2022 Montana rifle made in Memphis, Michigan. Entirely US made in a couple of really good versions. I like them both. The junction, walnut stock junction in standard chamberings, and the new Tsavo, a .375 dangerous game rifle. Whichever you pick up at your local gun dealers, you'll be hooked. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something about the history of the Model 70 Winchester and its follow-ons, and the best rifles on the Model 70 design yet to come off the line, the Montana series.